Yo tengo una casa en la capital de Honduras, pero la capital de Honduras y la capital industrial son unas zonas muy peligrosas, donde se ha desarrollado las pandillas muchísimo. Los compañeros de mi hijo de escuela, casi todos los mataron. Cuando él escapó, casi todos los mataron. Niñitos que yo los miré crecer con él, que iban a la escuela con él, todos están muertos. Entonces yo le dije a mi esposa, muévete de ahí. Muévete, porque en esa colonia donde vivíamos todos los días habían 2 muertos, 3 muertos, 2 muertos, todos los días.
As the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor or services through the use of force, fraud, or coercion, for the purpose of subjection to involuntary servitude, peonage, debt bondage, or slavery. However, I believe people don't need all of this legalese, and all they need to understand is that it is what it is, slavery, a complete violation of the human right to personal freedom.
Well, I came from the Philippines for a housekeeping job, like a working visa.
Ma'am, I'm from the Philippines and I came to the United States April 2008. Looking good job, better future to my family. It didn't happen because I didn't. My employer, I think we used us for the traffickers.
The San Francisco Mayor's Office 2015 report of human trafficking urgently stated that labor trafficking is underreported and underinvestigated compared to sex trafficking. But data does show from the International Labor Organization that around the world, labor trafficking could have the potential to be 3 times as prevalent as sex trafficking, and that could be extrapolated or applied to statistics in the United States or California. Data collected through the FBI shows that the human trafficking reporting system finds that forced labor is more common among undocumented immigrants, which is the target population that we work with here at the IRC. Labor trafficking can be forced labor in underground markets, but what most people don't realize is that it happens in commonly accepted businesses such as hotels, local factories, restaurants, construction sites, farming, landscaping, and nail salons.
Well, we know like America is like bread and butter, so land of bread and butter. So I'm a single parent of 4, so I wanted my kids to have future, everything. So that's why I came here, and I didn't know that thing's gonna happen to me in America. We pack our bags and come over here, like borrowed money from there so we can have a future. It's a housekeeping job, but they told us that our visa is like 3 years, so we can renew it for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And that never happened. We just work for a few months and they just give us like 3 days, 2 days, or they don't give us overtime, and they're always like rushing. So like the quality of housing and like the food and everything. So yeah, they said they're gonna provide like the housing, but we need to pay for it. It's not really good one, like a cramped rooms for like 6 people, only for 2 and for like 6 staying there. So
I was working in the hotel, ma'am. Yeah, housekeeping, room attendant. Yeah, yeah, that's was situation because the hours we didn't get it. They promised everything, and they said we work with them for 3 years, but we just work for only I think 9 months. Actually, ma'am, they gave us a termination pay, termination later. They said we're working to the other state, and then they always promising, and then one day they call meeting, and then they gave us a paper. So they said, you guys go back to the Philippines. There's no any notice like from 2 weeks or from just immediately.
The common denominator for all of my clients and the majority of surveyed or researched labor trafficking victims is the driving factor of poverty, regardless of the form of exploitation that they endure. All of my clients were promised economic opportunity to provide for not only themselves, but their families in their home countries. They came to the U.S. under complete fraud, not knowing that their basic human needs would be taken from them. Their right to livelihood was taken when they were forced to work for little or no pay. The right to freedom of movement was taken when they were locked in poor housing. And finally, and most perniciously, their identities were taken when their documents were stolen from them, sometimes damaged or lost or never recovered. The emotional abuses that my clients recount to me are more enduring and painful than their physical. They always talk to me about how their greatest threat to their safety is simply feeling illegal, which isn't a term that I don't agree with for application to any human being, but they don't know what their status is and what will happen to them, and it's part of my job and the IRC's job and Anti-Trafficking Coalition's job to explain the immigration relief to them.
Well, I worked for that for 3 months,
For
and
3
then
months,
we ran away. They said that we need to, leave because they don't have work for us anymore, and they're threatening us that if ever we don't leave, they're gonna put us in jail and like our family and everything. So we got scared. Like we have debts in the Philippines that needs to be paid off and everything.
So it's hard because we borrow money, loan money from lending company, ma'am, to pay our expenses when we go here in the United States. And after that, I came to the California. Yeah, I tried, but still still not lucky. Yes, we're
I went to North Carolina, worked there. Same thing, like hotel housekeeper. And then Florida, and just like state to state for a few months, like our way out to fix the papers and everything. But my co-workers from my agency that got us here, so we're like glued together. So everybody's helping each other. So luckily for us, we're not other kinds of trafficking.
Right.
So we're still lucky. But for those like in a different kind of trafficking, they really need to be like brave and find their way out.
In 2000, Congress created immigration relief for foreign national victims of trafficking through the Trafficking and Violence Protection Act, more commonly seen and known as TVPA. The legislation is meant to strengthen law enforcement capacity to investigate and prosecute human trafficking and offer protection for victims.
Yo soy de Honduras, 9 años, buscando en mi país es un país muy pobre, por tanta delincuencia, por tantas cosas, mi país es hay mucha pobreza. Yo no tenía casa y tengo mis hijos. Necesitaba emigrar para acá, buscar trabajo, para a ver si podía comprar mi casa o hacer mi casa allá en Honduras para mi familia. Llegué por el cerro, por el desierto. No tengo papeles. Llegué por el desierto, caminé unas 250 horas, unas 300 horas quizás en tren, desde Tabasco al Distrito Federal, puro tren. Fue triste el viaje. Tuve muchas experiencias. Tuve 2 meses y medio para llegar a este país. Tuve 2 meses y medio para llegar acá. Dormíamos en los montes, con los animales, en los montes. Y fuimos secuestrados ahí en México por 17 días. Estuvimos encerrados en una casa, logramos escapar y seguimos caminando hacia adelante. Trabajé 3 años para esta persona. Nos miró muy mal por 3 años. Nos trataba con malas palabras. Trataba de humillarnos y no nos...
¿Nos quién? ¿Tú con tu hijo?
Ya. Y a los demás trabajadores también. Ella se porta muy mal con todas las personas. Cuando acordé me dejó una nota. Le dejó una nota en en el carro de mi hijo, dejó una nota. Y me dice mi hijo, mira, aquí dejaron una nota y dice que estás despedido. Y le digo, pero aquí está esta señora, no me ha dicho nada, no sé, pero estás despedido. Ok. La nota me la dio como unos 3 semanas antes del despido, ¿no? O sea que me dijo, tienes trabajo hasta el 26 de junio. Ok. Y seguí trabajando y no me pagó esa semana, la siguiente, por 3 semanas. Estas últimas 3 semanas ya no las quiso pagar. Y tuve una experiencia tremenda porque se metía a mi cuarto. Ella tenía llave de mi cuarto, yo rentaba ahí y se metía a echar basura y todo eso ya los últimos días. Le hablé a la policía y llegó la policía y tuve que salirme. Salí porque estaba portándose muy mal. Yo tenía el mes de renta pagado, pero se estaba portando muy mal con nosotros. Entonces le dije a mi hijo, vamos a vivir a la calle, al carro, porque no podemos estar así. Y yo me sentí muy mal. Me sentí muy mal porque nosotros, tú sabes que en este país, uno sobrevive de lo que trabaja, hay que pagar biles y todo eso, y por 3 semanas no pagó, me sentí muy mal, con mucho coraje, pero no pude hacer nada más, porque dijo ella que si yo te pago, me dijo, te voy a pagar cuando yo quiera, no cuando tú digas, pero la verdad es que no te voy a pagar, ok, y te vas a salir de acá, está bien. Yo antes de venir aquí iba a Home Depot a pararme, a esperar trabajo, y ahí me levantó otra persona a trabajar. Trabajé 2 meses y medio para él. Este señor era de Guatemala. Y también con él tuve otra mala experiencia que comenzó bien conmigo, pero terminó mal porque ya el último tiempo ya no me quería pagar lo mismo. Me quedó debiendo 2 semanas de trabajo. Y me despidió por eso y me quería, el último día que me despidió me quería golpear. Entonces me retiré, andaba con mi hijo, lo retiramos y también es una mala experiencia que llevé con él, pues no estuvo bueno.
I have seen that their victimization damages the relationships with their children, with their partners, and their parents even. Many of my clients do not tell their families that they have been victimized, what's happened to them, out of shame. And therefore, children don't understand why they haven't seen their mother or their father for 8 or 10 years. I have clients that gave birth to their children and left immediately after, and so they haven't seen their children grow up, or they have no concept of what their children look like other than as a baby. Parents don't understand. Parents can't pay for their children's schooling because they are not earning fair wages and they're under labor trafficking exploitation, and children don't understand why money isn't coming back, or family, partners, parents aren't understanding why their relative went abroad to U.S., apparently the land of economic opportunity, and aren't sending more money back.
Make me stressful and hardship in my life, and not only me, my family also, because I didn't see them for almost 8 years. I left my older son is 3 years old, and my wife is pregnant for 2 months. Yeah, and then and my youngest, I never see him, and then my wife is the second cesarean. Then they always worry about me, but I tell them my situation. When my wife got delivered my second son, because when she pregnant, I didn't mention to you because I don't wanna lose my second baby. And it's like it's hard because every time I talk to them in the cell phone or the FaceTime or Skype, they always me when I going home. They said then I didn't say anything, and then when last July, my son is positive for dengue fever. Yeah, so he feel me sad that way. They're going up, so it's very hard. Yeah. So every day I miss them, and then I don't know. So yeah, hopefully I don't know what next happen. Yeah, so just always pray. So because mom actually this couple once I got few mental block. Yeah, I can really focus. Yes, they will. So it's like not like before. I have 100% memory, but now I think I lose a lot.
Pues yo me siento muy bien porque yo he sido un padre responsable con mi hijo y tengo 3 más allá, y mi esposa, y he sido una persona hasta este momento muy responsable con mi familia. Cuando yo trabajo, yo trato de mandar dinero para mis hijos para que coman, para la renta. He tomado con seriedad mi familia, mi esposa, nunca los he abandonado. Mis hijos nunca han andado en la calle. Hemos vivido pobremente, pero honrados y trabajando. Yo he sacado a mi familia adelante. Cuando hablo con mis hijos Dicen mis hijas, nosotros estamos agradecidos contigo porque tú nunca nos has abandonado, nunca me había separado de mi familia. Fue algo bien difícil para mí, durísimo. Y yo por 27 años con mi esposa, nunca me he separado de mis hijos. Ellos se han creado mi calor, mi esposa y mis hijos. Siempre hemos estado juntos. Es duro para mí estar aquí con mi familia allá en Honduras. Es muy duro, pero esto es lo más triste. Esto es lo más triste para mí. Mi niña tiene más tierna, tenía 3 años.
¿Cómo se llama?
Se llama Génesis. Hablaba con ella recién llegado aquí. Mi niña decía, papi, recuerda que tú decías que nunca me ibas a dejar sola, siempre yo caminaba contigo y ahora ya no te veo, ¿y dónde estás? Ella tenía 3 años, no sabía todavía. Y le di, y yo eso me ponía, era muy duro para mí. Siempre que mi esposa estaba hablando conmigo y decía, pásame a mi papi porque yo quiero hablar con él, porque él, yo no lo veo aquí, él había dicho que nunca iba a separarse de nosotros y que siempre ha estado con nosotros. Y siempre me decía, ay, ¿y cuándo vas a venir? Ya pronto, mija, ya voy a llegar.
The Teen Non-Immigrant Status, or T visa, allows victims to remain in the United States to assist in investigations and prosecutions of human trafficking. It is specific to victims of trafficking that are foreign nationals, and it doesn't matter if it's either sex or labor trafficking. A victim of trafficking can apply for the T visa with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, commonly known as USCIS. And after 3 years from the T visa approval, or if the case is closed and they get a certification letter from the Attorney General that prosecution has ended on the case, then a T visa recipient can apply for permanent residency. And then from permanent residency or the green card, 5 years after they can naturalize and become a U.S. citizen, or 3 years after if they marry a U.S. citizen. Similarly, but for victims of a whole range of crimes, one of which is human trafficking, the U visa protects victims and supports law enforcement and government investigations or prosecution of the criminal activity. And then finally, continued presence also exists. This is initiated by law enforcement, and it is also immigration relief for victims identified. It's valid for 1 year, and it can be renewed in 1 year increments if there is an ongoing and enduring investigation.
Oh, like it, mom. Yeah, still working on it. Yeah.
Yeah?
So we just promising, hopefully, mom, because
Yeah.
I told them our attorney office that's the only way to my family come here. But hopefully, mom, because I wait. I think I wait almost a year. So it's like it's in my mind, always bother me. Very stressful. So I forgot a lot of things because of that too. Yeah. So I just worry about what's the next another tomorrow or another day. So you know, it's like I wait longer than my coworker. It's like million miles from here to my family.
Alguien nos trata de humillar, no nos van a dar un trabajo bueno, no vamos a agarrar un trabajo bueno aquí en este país porque no tenemos papeles. Andamos mirando lo que sale, si nos llevan a echar tierra, solo trabajo muy duro porque no tenemos papeles, somos indocumentados, somos personas que ellos lo miran diferentes a nosotros. Entonces esa es la diferencia. Yo no puedo agarrar un buen trabajo si no tengo papeles. Y la gente hace groserías con nosotros por lo mismo. no pasan de decir, no sea indocumentado, no hace nada, no puede hacer nada. Él no puede hacer nada. Las personas hacen eso, es como yo le digo, pues, ellos son de aquí, dicen nosotros no tenemos papeles, ellos no pueden hacer nada. Pues ni modo, estamos aquí, hay que agacharlo, no podemos hacer nada. Ellos son de aquí, nosotros no podemos hacer nada. No más que sufrir las consecuencias de la vida. Pagar el precio de estar aquí.
Una cara feliz también.
Sí, alegre.
Well, I want to bring my kids here, that's for sure.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I want to be a productive citizen in the U.S. So it's 7 grueling years.
Yeah.
almost 8, yeah. A lot of things happen.
Mm-hmm.
The more that we reduce the complacency or complicity that we may or may not be guilty of in human trafficking around the world, the more we can identify and hopefully reduce this problem. We're a long way from eradication, but every little bit helps. People should realize this terrifying scope of human trafficking. Human trafficking generates $150 billion in profits to criminals. And then beyond that, the crime is actually built into our system of supply and culture of demand. It's part of businesses that we buy into, and if the problem is not addressed, it can only exponentially worsen.